Each week, we welcome to our NfG stage one of our highly talented members or special guests with something designed to help you and your business. I first met our next guest at the start of COVID, when he began a networking event called WASTE, standing for We're All in This Stuff Together, although I'm pretty sure it wasn't stuff that it was described as. And we've been networking together ever since. Born and raised in Suffolk as one of its 750,000 residents, he's familiar with the joys of the county that it has to offer, including the towns of Ipswich and St Edmunds, Newmarket, and even Felixstowe on the North Sea, one of the largest container ports in Europe. But unable to keep him in a box, our guest likes to think outside of it and offers great value to his many coaching and consultancy clients locally and across the UK, where better never stops. Often found out on a golf course or enjoying cycling across the vast countryside, he gets to enjoy play as well as work. In fact, his passion for his home county and his many skills and genuine helpfulness make him Suffolk and good through and through. Just don't try saying that too fast. With a talk asking, should I waste any more time networking to win more business? We warmly welcome our very own Adrian Peck. Good morning again, Adrian.
Good morning, guys. Thank you for that, Richard. So I was tasked by the team really of just doing a kind of, I suppose, a bit of reflection and stuff on networking. And so I've been networking now for, in small business land for about 11 years, which is when I've jumped out of corporate life. I was very heavily involved in BNI. I was a director consultant for BNI. I also run a 4 business group. It's the Colchester group. We play at St Edmunds golf course. And it's basically golf and networking that comes together. And I've been running that group again since it started. I think I'm into my 6th year, something like that, running that group. And of course, networking for good. So what I want to share with you is why networking doesn't work, which probably sounds a little bit controversial considering that this is a networking organization and I'm very heavily into networking. But I want to share with you the top 5 reasons that I've seen over those 11 years of why people say, oh, that networking, that will never catch on, that never works for me, it's not right for my business, etc., etc. So what I wanted to share with you is a few of those top 5 things, really, and the reason that networking doesn't work. So the first one is around the room isn't my target market. The amount of times I've heard this when I've built from the ground up networking actual groups, you know, starting with like 3 people on day 1 and then launching it a few months later. And this has been a kind of the top one, really. And then the reason behind it, of course, is that they're trying to refer to anybody that has a pulse. They've got no idea really who their target market is and actually who it is they're trying to do. So my tip for you on this one is you must know, if you don't know who your ideal referral is, how on earth do you expect anybody else to be able to do that and help you? And just to give you a couple of insights into this of how it works. So I met a guy at my 4 business back in May this year. And I was having a conversation on Friday with Selena. And Selena says to me, one of the companies she works with, DDI, one of her investment portfolio, they're trying to recruit some people. They specialize in the fit out of fitness, health clubs, leisure industry, that kind of stuff. And she said to me, we're having challenges, you know, recruiting at the moment. And I said to her, would it be useful if I introduce you to a guy who specializes in recruitment in construction companies? And that's what he does. I met him once back in May, and I've just put that introduction across to Selena on the basis it might help her. But that person went networking and said, I do recruitment for the construction industry. That's all I do is project manager and above. And that's kind of his message. And this shows how powerful it was, because I've met him once back in May this year, and I've put the 2 of them together. The other bit is people get afraid of really honing into one thing, or actually even standing up and asking for a certain name. I launched a group in St Edmunds about 5 years ago now, I think it was. And Melissa, who runs a printing.com franchise, so she's also a graphic designer. And we were launching this meeting. I was doing some mentoring with Melissa, and she said, look, I want to be brave, but I'm not sure if I ought to. When we do our intros as part of the format of the BNI meeting, she said, you know, what should I do? And I said, who's the person you really want to speak to? She says, I want to speak to the networking, or the director of marketing at Green King. I said, okay. I said, do you trust me, listener? She said, yeah, I trust you. I said, right, we've got an event. We're going to have 110 people there. What I want you to do is stand up and ask for his name and ask for an introduction. And let's just say it was Andrew Smith. And I said, trust me, you will find Andrew Smith. And she we only done 20-second pitches because it's a big event. She stood up and said, I'm Melissa, this is what I do. I'm looking for an introduction to Andrew Smith. He's the marketing director at Green King. Sits down. At the end of the event, a couple of hours later, I see Melissa, and she's got this huge smile across her face. And I said, sounds like you'll have a result then. She said, oh yeah. She said, that guy over there, Richard, somebody's name was, he's an architect. He plays golf every single Sunday with Andrew Smith, who's the marketing director at Green King. And it just shows the power of asking for a name. The more and more you help us, we will find your ideal referral. And it just that rent. The next one is networking to sell. Nobody here wants to buy from me. Is the thing I've heard so many times, and you've seen this, I'm sure, time and time again, where people are walking to the room and trying to sell to the room. They go, nobody here wants to buy from me. They're not really my target market. They're not really the people that I want to sell to. They're not my type of businesses. And of course, the bit that they miss is not who's in the room, it's who those people know. That's the most incredible thing. So again, in a networking group in Cambridge, I was doing some work for a client. We were selling into the NHS. Now, how many chief execs have you met networking in the NHS? So have you ever come across a chief exec for an NHS trust in any networking you've done? Hands up, anybody? No, not surprising. You've got lots and lots of shakes of heads. But of course, you never know who somebody knows. So I stood up and said, I'm looking for the chief exec. And I gave his name of a hospital in Bedford. So I'm trying to get reached through to him on behalf of one of my clients. At the end of the meeting, one of the guys, Gary, he was something doing marketing, was a printing guy, I think, as well in marketing. Gary came over to the end of the meeting and said, I don't know him, but I know the chief exec of Luton. Would that be a good exec for me? He's actually my brother-in-law. And that just shows the power of knowing who, of doing that out there and getting those people. It's not who's in the room, it's all the people those people know. You never, ever know who they know. The other course thing they do is another one, is number 3, is what's in it for me. It's all they're interested in. I've given out 500 business cards, but nobody has called me. They kind of don't get the fact that networking is all about givers gain. And to use the BNI, and the BNI have this wonderful slogan, is givers gain. It's probably the most powerful thing you can ever have in networking. It's all about looking at and doing something for somebody else before you're expecting some stuff back. And literally, I'm probably on a ratio of probably 5 to 1 at least of all the people I've helped versus the people I've got back. But the feeling I get from helping people, because I'm a very helpful person, and it does come back in waves, but you have to be patient with it. You have to through the course, and you really have to be prepared to put stuff into it. It's not a quick fix. But a lot of people get that wrong. I've been here 2 weeks now, nobody's given a referral. I've heard that so many times that dropped out. The next one surprisingly, is actually too much networking. And this was particular as well last year. I met a guy last year who had 20 one-to-ones in a week. I said, how? He said, yeah, I know, I worked flat out all week having all these one-to-ones. For what purpose? It's just mad. How can you get to know somebody by doing that volume of one-to-ones? And I've met them out doing physical networking where they're out networking 3 or 4 times a week. How do you get any work done? I mean, what is it you do? They're serial networkers that are just out there every single day. And it's all about quality, not quantity. You have to get to know, like, and trust people. And you can't do that by just spreading yourself so thin, just talking to loads and loads of people and having just small conversations. It's about very focused and you know, good quality networking you do. I only do 2 networking, and it's for business and it's networking and good. That's the only 2 I do now, and it's really, really focused. And number 5 was actually, I never get any referrals. Was it? Well, I wear lots of hats, and I've seen this time and time again, and I've met people, I've had one-to-ones with them, and I still don't understand what it is that they do. And they overcomplicate their message just massively. Like Sean's is really, really simple. WordPress problems. Anybody with WordPress problems, you go and phone Sean. Now, I'm sure, and I know Sean does lots of other things, but his message is really, really clear. He fixes WordPress problems. So I just wanted to quickly cover that off because I know that I missed it off. But when you go networking, make sure that you know, people know what it is that you do. So that's it. That's my top 5 tips. And that's why networking doesn't work for some people.